Hello and welcome to another edition of Tekla and Dagul. The other day I was visiting a friend, and when I was there, she was in the process of throwing away some bananas, and I asked her why she was throwing them away, and she said, well, look at them, the skins are starting to get speckly brown spots on them, they're overripe. To me they weren't overripe, they were perfectly serviceable bananas, but I told her not to throw them away because I have an absolutely brilliant recipe for a beautiful banana and walnut cake, and you need ripe bananas for the recipe, and that's what I'm about to show you right now. So first of all, what we have here is a bowl with 2 ripe bananas in it, and if you take a fork and mash these, you'll see they're very ripe because they're mashing very easily. And we'll mash these up first of all to get them all nice and soft and squishy, and then we add to that 100 grams of sugar. Now this could be caster sugar or granulated sugar, it doesn't make any difference. So once we've put the sugar in, we add 130 grams of self-raising flour, and then 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And then to that we add 1 egg. We continue to mix this with a fork, get it all combined nicely, and then add about 55 grams of softened butter. This one's nice and soft because I give it a quick blast for 20 seconds in the microwave just to help soften it, because I'd forgotten to take it out of the fridge, so it was a little bit on the hard side. So we mix all that together like this. There you go, it's nicely combined there. Now this mixture is quite a loose mixture, but if the eggs you're using are quite small, or if you've used a little bit too much in the way of flour, all you need to do is just add a dash of milk just to loosen it up again. So you can see it's quite loose. Now when you get to this stage, it's time to add the walnuts. So what I've done, I took a large handful of walnuts and I chopped them up. I chopped them up quite small, not too small because you want a little bit of crunch in the banana loaf. But if you have them too big, because this is quite a loose consistency, they have a tendency, before it's fully solidified, they'll sink to the bottom. So you don't want them too big and you don't want them too small. So this is just about right. So we mix all of these in together. As you can see, that's all nicely combined. And then I take a loaf tin, this is just an ordinary loaf tin, and all you need to do really is butter the sides and the bottom of it before you put your mixture in. But what I tend to do is use some of the non-stick greaseproof paper. I still butter the sides of the non-stick greaseproof paper, but I just find it's just that little bit easier to get out. So we pour all the mixture in from the bowl into this loaf tin, and then I push it out, try and level it out a bit. It will self-level itself as it starts to get warm before it sets, but I like to just sort of push it into the corners, make sure it's sort of roughly the same level. So once that's done, all we do now is pop it in the oven on 180 degrees or 160 if you've got a fan oven, or if you're using gas, it's about gas mark 4, and leave it in the oven for about 30 to 40 minutes. What I tend to do is leave it in for about 35 minutes, then check it out and just test it with a skewer to see whether it's done. If the skewer comes out clean, then it's done. If the skewer comes out and it's got bits stuck to it, just stick it back in the oven for another 5 minutes and test it again. And just keep doing that until your skewer comes out clean. And once you've done that, turn it out onto a rack and let it cool, and delicious hot and a nice cup of coffee. Okay. So here we have the final product, fresh out of the oven, it's red hot, as you can see. It's lovely. Okay, so this is why I use the greaseproof paper. It just makes life a little bit easier when I'm taking out stuff out. And this is our finished cake. Beautiful. Just leave that to cool down. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Very simple recipe, anybody can make it. It's just chuck everything in a bowl and mix it together. But this recipe is good because you don't have to just use it for banana cakes. You can cook all sorts of other cakes like it. I used this exact recipe, and instead of using bananas I substituted rhubarb and apple. I just stewed them down for 10 minutes. Try and take out as much moisture as you can, because this recipe is quite loose anyway, but if you use too much rhubarb juice in it, it just takes far longer to cook. So try and get as much of the liquid out as possible. Use the rhubarb in exactly the same way as you use the banana. Stick it in the oven. The only thing I noticed was, because there was a little bit more moisture in the rhubarb, it took me about 50 to 55 minutes instead of 35 to 40 minutes for it to cook. But absolutely delicious. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll try this recipe, because you won't be disappointed. Okay, see you next time. Bye bye. Okay, so let's take this out of the tin. This is why I use the greaseproof paper. It makes life so much easier. Oh, he says.
Did it distract?
I'd stopped one bit, luckily. I did a load of spill, got all...
I can edit it.
Yeah, I did a load of spill, got all ingredients and everything. Can you check it to make sure? If it's not, bang it in for another 5 minutes. I did the whole thing and then realised I hadn't got the microphone on.
No.
What are you trying to do? Are you trying to take photographs of it or something? Or do you need a faster speed? So you're never going to get it in focus. You need to change the speed. You're just recording this so hard. You've got some outtakes, aren't you?
No. Change the speed. Does it focus? It does focus. Oh, you can even catch the smoke coming out of your ears.